Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning, ma'am.
Any question from the yesterday's class? Okay, so we will talk about investment today. We have discussed about consumption, we have discussed about savings. Now we will be talking about I, that is investment expenditure. So first let us understand how do we define investment. I means investment expenditure. By the firms. So here we are talking about investment by the firms. We are not talking about investment by the households. Okay? Like in your common by your common sense or in your general speaking, you say that households also invest. But this is a system where you are considering that all the investment is done by the firms. Households are only doing consumption expenditure. Households only consume and they only supply factored services. That is what you are assuming here. Okay, so investment is the expenditure done by the firms. Most of the expenditure which the firms make, that will be in form of investment. And generally when we say investment is the expenditure on machines, equipments, technology, land building, and any other fixed asset. So that's how you define investment. So let me add here factories. So expenditure on factories, machines, equipment, technology, land buildings, and any other fixed asset, which can be a physical asset or which can be a financial asset. When you say fixed asset, it can be divided into two: physical.
Ma'am, the whiteboard is called.
Okay. You're not able to see the whiteboard?
No, ma'am, it's clear.
Yes, ma'am.
It's clear, ma'am.
Okay. So fixed asset can be physical in the sense of it can be land, it can be any type of machine, any type of productive asset. Physical, when you are saying physical, it is basically asset which is productive, which has a production capacity. And it can be financial also. Financial asset which we are considering here as investment, that asset which will generate income in the future. So suppose you have purchased some gold. As a firm, you have purchased the gold, and that gold is for the purpose of generating future returns, and that's how it becomes the financial asset. Or you have purchased some government securities or bonds, and that will give you some future return. So that is the idea of investment here. Now, when we see investment for the macroeconomy, there are two further concepts which are important. One is gross investment, and the other is net investment. Okay, so generally we say gross investment is equal to net investment plus replacement investment. Replacement and firms are told you that all the firm will be considered as investment. Some of their investment and some of their expenditure will be in.
Ma'am, voice break हो रही है मैम.
मैम वॉइस ब्रेक कर रहे हैं.
Ma'am, your voice is breaking.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening, ma'am.
I hope you can see the board.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so let us understand this investment. As I was telling you in the morning, we are talking about the determination of employment and income in the Keynesian system for the macroeconomy. So we understood that according to Keynes, in the short run, level of employment depends on the level of effective demand. Okay. Now the next part of the theory is that how the level of income is determined in the economy. So the level of income depends on two important components of the income, that is consumption expenditure and investment expenditure. So once these two are decided, level of income is also determined for the economy. So now we have discussed the consumption part, that what is the Keynesian theory of consumption. We'll discuss investment now. But before I go to investment, let me remind you few things about consumption. When you say consumption expenditure, when you say C, it is consumption expenditure. We are talking about expenditure by the households. Okay. We are not talking about the total absolute quantities of consumption, but we are talking in terms of consumption expenditure for the whole economy by the households. When you say consumption expenditure, it can be divided into two parts. Durable goods consumption expenditure, consumption expenditure on durable goods, and consumption expenditure on non-durable goods. Okay, all okay? Are you able to listen to me properly?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
So now there are two types of consumption expenditure. One is on durable goods, the other is on non-durable goods. Non-durable goods means these are the perishable goods, like food items, the goods which cannot be stored for a longer time period, or goods which cannot be used for a longer time period. Durable goods are those goods which are stored or which can be used for a longer time period, which has a longer lifetime. For example, furniture, for example, bicycle, motorcycle, or refrigerator, fan, various types of other goods which are generally known as white goods for the household. Okay, so these are the durable goods. Non-durable goods. So the consumption expenditure is divided into two, and there is third type of consumption expenditure which will be on services. So households can spend for their consumption in three ways. One is the durable goods consumption expenditure, which is on items which are fixed in nature, like house. House is a consumption expenditure for the household. Construction of house or buying a house is a consumption expenditure for the household, because it remains for a longer time period, it can be used for a longer time period. Similarly, all the household items which we have in the household, that are all durable goods. Okay. Non-durable goods are those goods which are perishable in nature, or which are immediately consumed, or which does not last for a longer time period. And then there are services. You understand services, I hope. Services means transportation services, personal services, health services, education services, banking services, entertainment services. So different types of legal services. Everything all comes under this consumption expenditure by the households. Okay. Is it okay? Is there any clarification required here?
No, ma'am.
Okay, now we are talking about investment expenditure. Because we are talking about income determination only in a two-sector framework, that is why we are talking about C plus I. We have not included, or we are not talking about the three sector or the four sector. So that is why whole consumption expenditure is by the households. And remember, this consumption expenditure is consumption expenditure on final goods and services. So we are not including intermediates here. Final goods and services. So now this investment is the expenditure done by the firm, expenditure made by the firms. These firms are the producer firms. Why they are making these expenditures? Because they have to produce goods and services. And these goods or services are of two types. One is consumption goods. Other is capital goods. So by the firms, every type of expenditure which is related
Ma'am, you are not audible.
Okay, is the board visible again now?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So now when we are talking about investment, investment can be defined as gross investment. Gross investment is the total investment in the economy or the total expenditure made by the firms in the economy. Now, gross investment can be classified as two types of investment. Gross investment can be in form of replacement or maintenance expenditure. On capital goods only. When we are talking about replacement expenditure or maintenance expenditure, it is those expenditure made by the firms which are related to replacing the old capital goods or old machinery, old equipments, and maintaining those equipments or fixed assets. So every year in the economy, some new roads or highways are constructed, and at the same time, some expenditure goes for the maintenance of those roads and highways. So that is all part of investment. Okay. Or there are, suppose there is a transport firm. So this transport firm purchases a new taxi or a new bus in a year. But at the same time, the earlier buses which the company is owning, there will be some maintenance expenditure on those buses for those transport vehicles. So replacement or maintenance expenditure is included. And the next part is new investment. The first component of gross investment is replacement investment. The second component is the new investment. The new purchases of capital goods, the new purchases of the production capacity in the current year, that will be new investment. So either you call it new investment or either we can call it net investment. Because this net investment is net of depreciation. Okay, out of the total expenditure which is done by the firms, you deduct the depreciation and the replacement expenditure. What will remain is considered as net investment. Are you getting the idea?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. This is one way to understand investment. Rather, this is the second way. When we said investment is the expenditure made by the firms. Now, this investment can be classified as investment made for producing consumption goods, investment made for producing capital goods. Then this investment can be defined as replacement investment and new investment, that is net investment. Similarly, when we are talking about investment can again be categorized as two types of investment. One is the autonomous investment and the second is the induced investment. Autonomous investment is that investment which is independent from the level of demand or previous level of production or any other economic variable. So it is autonomous. Say expenditure on health by the government, expenditure on hospitals by the government, setting up new hospitals, setting up new machines for treatment, or setting up new energy plants for the economy, setting up new railway stations. All this is autonomous investment which does not depend on any level of demand or any level of income or any other economic variable. But there will be some part of investment which depends on the demand or which depends on other variables. It can be income, it can be interest rate, it can be population size, it can be technology. So that part of investment will be considered as induced investment. But when Keynes is talking about investment, Keynes is largely talking about autonomous investment. Keynesian investment is largely autonomous. Autonomous means it does not depend on the level of income. When we are saying autonomous, you have to remember in the background y is equal to c plus I. So C, you understand, C depends on the level of y. C determines the level of y, but at the same time C depends on the level of y. But I is autonomous from y. So together they will determine the level of y. So when we say I is autonomous, it means here in the current context which we are discussing, I does not depend on the level of y. And how do you show it? If you take the level of y on the x-axis and you take I on the y-axis, investment here, so you show it by a horizontal line, and this is I0. So I0, you can understand that irrespective of the level of income, the level of investment remains the same. Whether the income is Y0 or whether the income level is Y2 or Y1, investment level remains the same, that is I0. So autonomous investment is always shown by a horizontal line. Okay. In case of induced investment, as we are saying that induced investment is that investment which depends on the level of demand or income. So induced investment will be shown by this line. Because here you are taking Y, here you are taking I, and you are showing a positive relationship between these two. But autonomous investment is independent from the level of income. That is why you are showing by a horizontal line. Am I clear? Is it okay for everyone?
Yes, ma'am.
Ma'am, please explain the diagrams again.
Okay. See, what we are saying is that if there are two types of investment, one is autonomous investment. And the other is the induced investment. So we can show the autonomous investment by a horizontal line like this. And this can be shown as I0, which is irrespective or independent from the level of income, that is Y. On x-axis, you are taking the level of income, but level of investment does not depend on the level of income. Therefore, this level of investment remains fixed for different levels of income. And that is how this is autonomous investment. Okay, now it depends that suppose the government is, the firm is spending say 1000 crore rupees as investment. So this 1000 crores will remain 1000 crores for different levels of income. But in case of induced investment, the investment depends on the level of income. Higher the level of income, higher will be the level of investment. So this induced investment is shown by a positively sloped line. Now, if you add these together, so this was autonomous investment, this was induced investment. If you add these together, you get a line of investment like this, which is induced autonomous investment and induced investment. Y, I. Okay. Any questions so far?
मैम यहाँ पे जो ये ओरिजिन से हमारा इन्वेस्टमेंट जा रहा है ये इंड्यूस्ड इन्वेस्टमेंट है.
ये induced investment है. Why? Because induced investment is that investment which depends on the level of income. Like say, if you want to invest in, if the economy or if any firm wants to invest in setting up new petrol stations. So the demand for petrol depends on the demand for transportation. Okay, so the demand for petrol is a induced demand, which depends on the demand for cars and other types of transportation. So that means higher the number of cars produced in the economy, higher will be the demand for petrol, and therefore the investment in the petroleum sector becomes a function of some other sectors. So that's how it is induced demand. So if the demand for cars are zero here, then there will be no demand for petrol. So there is no need to invest in petrol sector. And that is why it is starting from origin. But when you add these two up, and I0 autonomous does not start from zero. Why it does not start from zero? Because it remains independent from the level of income. Even if the level of income is zero, some investment will take place in the economy. It can be investment in terms of setting up factories or setting up power plants, setting up steel plants or schools or hospitals or community centers, anything. It can be anything in the economy. So that's how when you add these two together, you get this line. You get the line which is having a positive intercept. Why it is having a positive intercept? Because this distance from origin is the autonomous investment. Anyone else? Any other question?
No, ma'am, it's clear.
Okay. What is this depreciation, real depreciation? I don't understand. Durgesh, what you are writing?
Nothing, ma'am.
What is the difference between real depreciation and depreciation? Be very careful in using the terms, because in your economics, real word or the term real has a specific meaning. Every time when you use the word real, and particularly when you are talking about expenditures, so when you are talking about this word real, that means you also have something which is nominal in value. So in money terms, if you are talking about any value, that becomes nominal. So when you say depreciation, so the value of depreciation, say 100 rupees. So this 100 rupees is the nominal value. Now you are talking, if you want to understand what is the real value of this 100 rupees expenditure. So depending on the type of capital good or the investment good which you are talking about, you can decide the real value. That if this 100 rupees was spent in last 2 years, so with every year the rate of inflation is changing. So if you deflate this value by inflation rate, then you get the real value. So every time, like suppose expenditure in say 2019, 2020 and 2021. So here it was 100 rupees, again 100 rupees and 200 rupees. So this is nominal. It can be any expenditure, it can be investment, it can be consumption, it can be depreciation, it can be net investment, anything. But you want to understand the real value of this. So what you are doing is actually you are deflating it by the rate of inflation. So then you come to the, then you arrive at the real value. So please be very careful in using the terms here. I hope I have made this clear for you. Everyone should be careful about understanding nominal and real. Now let us move a bit further and try to have a clear picture. We have started talking about y is equal to c plus I. Okay. Now the first diagram which you saw was this. And I told you that this is c is equal to c0 plus cy, that is the consumption function. So on the y-axis you are taking c, on the x-axis you are taking y, and that's how you show the consumption. Okay. Now what you can do is you can show the saving part on the downside, and you draw the diagram like this. On the x-axis again you take y, that is level of income. On the y-axis you take S and I. S is savings, okay? Always S always means savings, I always means investment. You put a 0 here, that means this is the point of origin. And now what you are trying to do is try to see this distance here and then try to find out a distance here and say this. So this becomes your savings function, which is minus S0 plus SY. And suppose now you have your investment line, which is autonomous investment. So this is I0. So the point where saving is equal to investment, that determines the level of income. Say you are calling it Y1. Now you take this further up. So this is Y1, okay? Now this is the point on consumption which you decide when the level of income is Y1, when saving and investment are equal to each other. Now see one more thing. See this point, Y0. At Y0, you understand at Y0. Saving is 0. Investment is still there. You can understand the distance between this saving point and the investment line is this. Okay, so investment is positive, but saving is 0. Before this Y0 income, you can see that saving is negative. Investment is still positive, but saving is negative. Okay, so you take this further up like this. So this is the consumption. This is the point where consumption is just equal to income. So at Y0, C is equal to Y and I is equal to I0, which is positive. Are you all getting this?
Yes, ma'am.
Now see what I am doing. You draw another diagram. First name this C and I on the y-axis, that is consumption expenditure and investment expenditure. On the x-axis, you are taking y, that is level of income. Okay. Now you draw a 45-degree line. 45-degree line where you say that y is equal to, say, y bar. You say like that. So we'll understand what is this 45-degree line. Anyone would like to say anything about this 45-degree line? How can you explain this 45-degree line? Can you tell me that? Anyone?
Ma'am, here consumption is equal to income.
No, don't be in a hurry. Okay, try to understand properly and then explain. Yes, next.
Ma'am, it is equidistance from both axes.
That's very correct. The 45-degree line tells you that it has an equal distance with both the axes. So it means that what you are saying is that the variable on the x-axis is equal to the variables on the y-axis. When you are saying equidistance, it means you are saying that the variables which you are showing on the y-axis is just equal to the variables which you are showing on the y-axis. That means what? Y is equal to C plus I. That is what you are saying, that the summation of C plus I will be equal to Y if you are at any point of this 45-degree line. It also says, in our theory, in our Keynesian system, this 45-degree line is very important because this 45-degree line shows that Y is equal to C plus S, which is equal to aggregate supply in the economy, AS. Okay. Now you add the lines here. What are the lines which you are adding here? You know that from the previous diagram, you have C and you have I. So suppose you first add C. This is just C. Okay. Now this is the point where consumption is just equal to income. So this is Y0. Now you have seen that in the previous diagram, investment is shown by a horizontal line. That means the distance is always the same. Whichever line, whichever level of income you are talking about, the distance remains the same, and that is I0. So if you add this distance to this C line, you will get a parallel line like this, and this is your C plus I, because the distance which you are showing here is equal to I0, which remains the same with the level of income. With different levels of income, this investment remains the same. Now the point here, E, determines the level of income, that is Y1. So level of income is determined with the summation of C plus I in the economy, with the summation of C and I in the economy. So this is aggregate demand. The point E says, at E, what you are saying, aggregate demand is equal to aggregate supply in the economy, because aggregate demand, which is equal to C plus I, and these two are equal to C plus S. So this can be explained as an identical relationship. So main sentence which you should remember is income level is determined with the level of C and I. Now, if the firms increase their investment, if I increases, so now what happens when I will increase? I will increase in a horizontal manner. Why? Because it is autonomous. So now this will be C plus I plus delta I. Now, as you increase the level of investment, the income goes up to Y2. So the distance between these two lines is the delta I. And this distance is delta Y. So maybe in the diagram, we are able to clearly see that delta Y is greater than delta I. So the Keynesian system tries to provide an answer for this. Why delta Y is greater than delta I? Now, so far, are you able to understand?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Everyone, all the 68 students present here?
Ma'am, was repeat the diagram.
Some things you are writing, but maybe you are not every time correct what you are writing. So please be careful what you are writing. If you have any doubt, please ask it. Okay? See this. You said that investment is autonomous. Suppose I draw everything in one diagram. So what I do? First I draw a 45-degree line. It is not exactly 45. So this is say 45-degree line. Now 45-degree line is generally showed like this. Y is equal to Y bar. Now here you are taking level of income on the x-axis. On the y-axis, what you can show is C, S, and I. These are the three variables which are there. Now, suppose the consumption function is drawn like this. So this is C. This distance is C0. So what I do is now I draw a line like this which shows the negative axis. So then say this is S. Okay, and you name it Y0. And suppose the I line is drawn like this, I0. This is autonomous investment. Okay. Now you add this autonomous investment line to the C line. So this distance you have to add, this distance. So when you add this distance, maybe that's how you get the line. So you draw a parallel line to this. So this will be termed as C plus I. Now, because you are talking about income determination in the Keynesian system, so how income is determined? Income is determined at a point where C plus I is added to each other. So this point is the point where income is, okay, there is a bit of mistake here. Try to always have a reference to this point and then try to find out a point here. Okay, so now this is C plus I. I hope everyone is there. Yes. So now this point E is the income determination for the economy. This point is the point where Y is equal to C, saving is 0, and Y1 is that level of income where savings is equal to investment in the economy. Now, as you increase the level of investment, if there is an increase in the level of investment and investment is considered to be autonomous, so it will increase autonomously. It will not depend on the level of income. Okay. Now the equality of savings and investment is taking place here at the level Y2. So you take this up further. And then this will be C plus I plus delta I is equal to AD dash. So this will be E1, E dash, say. Is it okay? Now, can you be able to attempt the question of explain the income determination in the Keynesian system? Suppose the question is explain the income determination process in the Keynesian system. So you can do this now.
Yes, ma'am.
You have seen it, right? I have drawn 3-4 diagrams separately, and then I have combined all together. So this is the famous cross diagram. Cross diagram. So when we talk about cross diagram in the Keynesian system, this is the diagram where you are trying to show y is equal to c plus I. Now the point is that you can see that delta y is this. Delta y is the vertical distance between the two lines of aggregate demand. But with this delta I, there is an increase in income which is equal to delta y, which is y2 minus y1. So you can see that, say this was I0 and this is I dash. So I dash minus I0 is lesser than y2 minus y1. Now the question is that why increase in income is greater than the increase in investment. You have increased the investment, say, by 10 units in the economy, but the income is increasing by more than 10 units, maybe 20 units, maybe 25 units. So now the question is that what is the reason? And Keynes says that reason is multiplier. So now we have to understand this concept of multiplier. If before I start talking about multiplier, you tell me if you have any question, any doubt so far, anything which you have not understood so far. Or let me write few more things here. C is a function of y, S is a function of y, but I is autonomous. So you have explained all the variables which you have in the model. The model is y is equal to c plus I, y is equal to c plus s. So you have defined everything, shown thing on the diagram. And that's how the income is determined. Okay, so no question. So I'm moving ahead, okay. Now please be very careful what we are trying to understand here. I'm trying to go step by step. C is given as C0 plus Cy. I is given as I0. Then Y is equal to C plus I. That is, Y is equal to C0 plus Cy plus I0. Is it okay? Are you all okay with this?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Now see this, that Y is common on both the sides. You have a Y term on the left side also, and you have a Y term on the right side also. So if we try to solve this, what we are doing? Y minus Cy is equal to C0 plus I0. Now these two are the autonomous expenditures. Now y minus cy can be also written as y1 minus c is equal to c0 plus I0. So this can be third, this is fourth. Now y is equal to 1 upon 1 minus c given c0 plus I0. Is it correct?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Is it okay for everyone? Are you able to understand this? So this is the determination of income. How income is determined? If the investment and consumption is given to us, we can solve it like this. Now, suppose I increases so now y is equal to c plus I plus delta I. So again you will repeat the same process, c0 plus cy plus I plus delta I. You will again try to solve it. Y minus cy is equal to c0 plus I plus delta I. Here you should be writing delta y. So that means delta y 1 minus c is equal to c0 plus I plus delta I, or it can be written as delta y is equal to 1 upon 1 minus c c0 plus I plus delta I, or delta y is equal to 1 upon 1 minus c into delta I. Or delta y by delta I is equal to 1 upon 1 minus c. So this is your multiplier. And this is the Keynesian investment multiplier. Keynesian investment multiplier. Which depends on MPC, that is small c, marginal propensity to consume. You can see that this formula means ratio of change in income to change in investment is equal to 1 upon 1 minus c, that is c, small c is MPC. So that means what you are saying is, or what Keynes is saying is, value of multiplier depends on the value of marginal propensity to consume. Higher the MPC, higher is the multiplier value. What is multiplier actually? Multiplier is change in income due to change in investment. So I hope you are able to understand this. We'll continue this in the next class. Okay.
Excuse me, मैम वहाँ पे सी वो समझ नहीं आया वहाँ
नहीं नाजनीन बात नहीं सुनाई दी मेरे को.
मैम वहाँ पे जैसे लिखा हुआ है डेल्टा y इक्वल्स टू 1/c इंटू c0 प्लस i प्लस डेल y डेल i, तो मैम वहाँ पे नीचे वाली लाइन में c0 प्लस i नहीं है, तो वहाँ पे समझ नहीं आया. Ma'am, you're muted.
Okay. I was saying that does the autonomous consumption or the autonomous investment changes with the level of income?
No, ma'am.
So when it does not changes, and if you are trying to find out the change in income, so they will not exist, no? That's why when you are trying to find out delta y, it will depend on only the change in the variables. So C0 remains constant, I0 remains constant. So that means delta y will depend on delta I only.
Yes, ma'am.
That is why they are not existing in this final equation. Okay? And I was also mentioning, Aditya, don't run too fast. First, understand marginal propensity to consume and how it is important in defining the level of value of multiplier. Okay, so thank you. See you in the next class.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.